Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video I want to show you guys how you can easily farm 340 item level pieces of gear for your old characters. This method is probably done best for characters that are fairly fresh, where you have just about every single piece of gear that has a chance to be replaced. It's not really designed for your mains because the return for it with the RNG I feel like is not worth, but if you got a spanking brand new alt, this is a perfect place to just farm 340 item level pieces of gear. With the new Warfronts, I'm able to do them and run the Warfronts again and again and again. Every time you run a Warfront, you get a 340 piece of gear with the whole theme of Alliance or Horde. So this is the Warfront pieces of gear, which looks exactly the same as the PvP pieces of gear. But with every single time you complete a Warfront, you get a free 340 piece. On top of that, you also have a quest line when you do your first Warfront and you finish it, which there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to finish it. You get a 370 piece on top of that, but past that, you can continue to run the Warfront again and again to get yourself 340 pieces. And that's what I've been doing on my Death Knight to find out exactly if it's easy, if it's difficult, how long does it take, and if it's worth running at all. I was able to get about 6 pieces out of spending maybe 3, maybe 4 hours while waiting for a video to render, and I was able to gear up a Death Knight fairly easily. Was it good gear? That's always going to be a good question. Did I have to do anything to get this gear? Not really. I didn't have to put in too much effort. Did it feel like a grind? Was it part of farming? Did it feel like I had to really put my nose to the grindstone for this? Yes. So if you're somebody who doesn't like the grind, you're probably not going to enjoy this method. But if you're looking for fairly easy to get gear without really any difficulty, no crazy challenges to overcome, this is going to be the best method. Most of the Warfronts take an average of 30 minutes to complete. Of course, if you have a really good group, it can happen just a little bit faster. If you have a group that is pre-made, like a 5-man that you can queue in all together, so you can help out the team, you know the mechanics, you know the methods, then it's going to be super easy. But of course, you're going to get teams that are just not going to know what the hell is going on. It's a fairly new event, and a lot of people don't know how to do these Warfronts. It's a mix of having to go and farm materials like wood and iron. It's a mix of having to attack certain key points and funneling the wood and iron to get upgrades for those key points. It's a mixture of being able to kind of play within 3 different lanes, stopping the enemy team from taking points back. A little bit of rare farming from time to time whenever rare does spawn. And it's just a hodgepodge of things that people are not used to. So of course, this is something that sometimes can take quite a bit of while when everybody gets acclimated and figuring out how it works. But by the time this event is going to be on its second run, maybe in 2 weeks for the Horde, for example, then a lot of people will be more accustomed to exactly what you're supposed to do. And it'll be a lot easier, it'll go by a lot faster, so the first few runs that you might have in the next few days might feel slower, but at least you get a guaranteed 340 piece of gear out of it. So this is going to be a little bit of a grind though. You are going to have to run this multiple times over. So if you're thinking you get a piece of gear, maybe at best every 30 minutes, that means an hour you get 2 pieces of gear. There's a little bit of a caveat to this all, and this is why I said you might want to do this on spanking brand new characters. Because the random piece of gear that you get is completely random. So let's say you have a character who has a bunch of 340 pieces, but there's also some 330s, 320s that you're trying to replace. The piece of gear that you might get is completely randomized. I've actually had on my Death Knight a couple of pieces that I already have, like bracers and cloak and belt, drop for me. So out of the 6 pieces of gear that I was able to get tonight, 3 of them I can actually use and apply on my character. So these pieces of gear are going to be completely randomized, so you kind of got to decide whether it's worth to run on a brand new character or not, if it's worth the item level, if there's every single piece of gear that you can replace, or if you're someone who, let's say, has half of your gear 340, everything else is subpar, and you're just thinking, okay, even if I do get duplicates, at least I can go maybe scrap them, and then whatever I don't get as a duplicate will still upgrade my character. Maybe it's your brand new main. So then you got to decide whether it's worth for you guys to run this type of content. When it comes to doing this kind of thing solo, what I found myself doing is just running the mines. Go to the mines, collect as many resources, or do the woodworking. Regardless, either one you do, that part of combat is really easy, especially if you have a tank class. After you eliminate the first boss at the mines, and after you have whoever else goes to secure the woodworks, it's very easy to go around collecting minecarts, killing NPCs that are fairly easy to kill, and just looting resources from them, or going to the other side of the area and just chopping down wood. You're able to bring these resources to get your buildings up and underway. The win condition for the Warfront to make it faster, just so you know, is to get the workshop up and running so you can get 3 demolishers out. Once you have 3 demolishers, you basically are going to be pushing to the end at that point. So the faster you can get your team to 3 demolishers, maybe with fully upgraded troops, the faster the whole experience is going to go. So having somebody who's able to run and collect a bunch of resources and defend those zones from being taken in the first place will help your team maybe not speed up the process, but helping your team not slow the process down. Especially helpful if you have a tank when it comes to defending, because usually you can take a lot more damage and you can hold out on your own until either the NPC reinforcements or other players arrive. And it helps that much easier for you and your team to coordinate what the hell you're supposed to do. Overall works really well, especially for tanks. So if you guys don't mind a little bit of RNG with the gear that you get, if you don't mind having to sit there for 30 minutes, maybe up to an hour, maybe a couple hours, just to grind just some fairly easy, not quite completely free, but fairly easy to earn 340 pieces of gear with a brand new Warfronts, then I think it's worth running. I think it's something that I'll be doing for at least my Death Knight a couple more times until I start getting a bunch of duplicates, but I am going to start looking towards World Quest fairly quickly as I'm getting pieces of gear. Like I got 6 pieces of gear, 3 of those I can actually equip. That's going to improve my item level. Since my item level is improved, then I can get better gear from my World Quest and I can decide what's looking good, what isn't, which stats do I want, which ones I don't. Because if you are somebody who's going to want to play any of your characters, you will want to start to pay attention to secondary stats up until a certain point. If you're starting fresh, brand new, any piece of gear is an upgrade, because intellect, agility, and strength, all those base stats are an upgrade for your damage, even if it gives you a bunch of versatility, and versatility might be garbage for you. And then after you get the item level, you can start to kind of chisel your character out. You can start to better define your gear. You can start to better define your trinkets, start getting into dungeons, get into Mythic Plus dungeons with the gear that you've gotten in order to get better gear so you can do more damage, so you can get into raids, and on and on and on. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video for the free 340 pieces of gear that you can get from Warfronts. Have fun grinding it if you guys are going to do it. My name is Dalaran, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see all of you guys in another one.